So we're talking about the tides and realizing that there are four pillars up ahead that actually create the 6 hour oscillation of the tides. Every 6 hours it's going to go from tide to low tide and back again. And I told you how that's a quadruple magnetic current. That's okay. This is revolutionary, guys. This has to do with the tides and realizing that there are four pillars up ahead that actually create the 6 hour oscillation of the tides. Every 6 hours it's going to go from tide to low tide and back again. And I told you how that's a quadruple magnetic current. About that, let's pull up screen here.
I'm just going to pause this for a second. Oops. There we go. Had to fix that real quick. Sorry, folks. All right, so here we go.
Alright. How tides really work. Let's see, concave Earth. 6 hour oscillation. 6 hour oscillations are due to four magnetic pillars of heaven, creating a quadruple magnetic circuit, and then the sun creates pressure pockets as well. And so every 6 hours, the moon and the sun are going to be in different positions, and they're going to be affecting the tides as well, due to the lunar solar precession. And because there's no air up there, especially in that Dewar zone where the moon operates, the moon is not going to enlarge and shrink due to that. It does enlarge and shrink due to distance and the refraction of the glass. But because we have air down at the ground, it is definitely playing a factor into creating these pockets of pressure. And so basically what you see there, just going one at a time here, magnetic flux divergence, convergence, divergence, convergence. Let's do it again. I hope you see where I made those. I created those lines of force. They're giving you direction lines, basically. And so the divergence corners or pairs is going to actually create a higher tide in the ocean, because that energy, that pressure, or the magnetic flux is pulling inward toward the center. And the magnetic divergence, when they're diverting away like that, it's actually pushing, so it's going to create a low tide area. And yeah, I mean, the Earth has specific zones that have lower or higher tides based upon their location, which gives you an indication that there's no spin to the Earth and there's no spin to the octahedron up in the center. There is the spin to the stars around the octahedron, as well as the planets. But the foundations of the Earth are firm, they cannot be moved. And so there they are. And so you got that magnetic flux happening there. I don't think it's really affecting too much the perimeter field in the center. It's more the outer corners of the octahedron that's affecting that. But yeah, this coincides perfectly with understanding what's really happening with the tides within the Earth, and the moon and the sun do play a factor in that. But for the most part, they are being created. The low areas and high areas are being created because we have a quadrupole magnetic current within the pillars of heaven, within the earth, within the concavity of the earth. That's the only way it can work, guys. That's the only way it can work. You see, I made this graphic a long time ago. We have 4 equilibrium points, equatorial equilibrium points. 2 stable ones, you see there on the left, negative 4.7, and then a 75.3. Those are the stable ones, and that would be the actual the divergent push. Going back to the animation, here. So the stable areas are the divergence, and the unstable equilibrium points are the convergence, or they're unstable. You have these geosynchronous satellites orbiting within the Earth. They're inside, guys. Watch my Himawari 8 satellite video if you don't understand that, or the Solar Dynamics Observatory. But they're inside like that, and they are affected. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. But they're affected by the pressure as well. But that's probably why they have to move them in a figure-8 pattern. But the convergence is happening. That creates the higher tide, and divergence the lower tide. Understand? Let's see what else I can show you here. Here's a map of Earth, and you see that it has specific zones within the Earth, especially at the equator, where they have specific depths of water level. And so with those 4 equilibrium points, they're matched right there. You see one, that's an unstable one, that's under Africa over there. And then there's one kind of under India, that's a stable one. So they alternate like that. There's a stable one a little bit west of South America, and an unstable one a little bit north and east of Australia. So that's the reason why it's happening. So everything works when you have your foundations, right? When you have your foundations laid properly, foundations of the earth, everything falls into place. There's no ands, ifs, buts about this. This is why tides are happening. Okay, you got that quadrupole effect happening. It's alternating. 2 sides push, 2 sides pull. And they vary the pressure. And the moon and the sun vary the pressure as well. And so when the moon, like let's say, let me pull up a screen here. The moon is at different locations. Gotta get this one. Let me get this one a second. There it is. Okay. Okay. So if we're looking top down, this is looking top down, guys. And if I just move this timeline across the bottom there, you'll see the moon. I have the moon highlighted right now. The moon is at the top over there, and the sun would be that onion shape, like 90 degrees to the right of the moon over there. And so wherever the moon and the sun are located at any specific day within the Earth, they are going to affect the pressure as well. But it's originally stemming from the actual backlit, or the rearward sunlight. A shot of that. So the rearward sunlight is actually governing the actual the backlit sun, how it's going there. It's actually altering the way that the tides work. And so we have a 6-hour regular pattern to the tides. It's just going over. So yeah, there you go. That's what's happening. Understand? There's no ands, ifs, okay, a couple things I want to talk about is the fictitious force that you have learned about. Fictitious force of gravity. Gravity is a fictitious force, okay? What you've learned is that you think, okay, they tell you that gravitational pull, the center of the mass attracts other objects. Well, that's not true. The only reason they believe that is because they believe that the Earth is convex, and they believe that center of the Earth is there's a magnetic core to the center of the Earth. Well, actually, there's a magnetic core to the center of the Earth, but it's not down below; it's up above. As I told you before, in the center of heaven, which is in the center of Earth, and it does have a magnetic core, and it is emanating magnetic fields throughout the inside of the Earth, and it also is emanating toward the sun too. So the sun is a conduit for that magnetic force. The only reason and then they say, oh, they'll conclude that, okay, like Jupiter has moons, right? And the moons are being attracted by Jupiter by the gravitational pull. That's not true. That's electromagnetic pull. Another thing they'll misapply gravity to is tides. It's not the so-called gravitational pull of the moon that attracts or that causes the water to rise. Okay, in this system, the true system that we live in, Earth is stationary, and there is ether, otherwise known as luminiferous. Now, this luminiferous ether was actually kind of discarded when Michelson and Morley conducted experiments, and they detected that there was no interference pattern between shooting different light rays at different locations and having it reach the target at the same time. That's because they were under the faulty presupposition that the Earth was spinning. There is no spin to the Earth. Okay? There's no spin to the Earth, and something's got to be spinning because we see the stars and the moon and the sun move across the sky. So it's actually the stars, not everything inside the Earth, every celestial orb that you see in the sky, that's what's moving inside the Earth. So this ether, it pushes the force downward. It's the same thing. It's also applied to pressure, barometric pressure. Greatest pressure, the greatest density is toward the inside surface. Greatest pressure. What you know about barometric pressure is that when the barometric pressure is low, okay, let's say this is the ground. Okay, so you got the mountains here, and you got oceans here. Okay, this would be a continent. And you have the oceans. And you have the cloud. If you have cloud cover, what the clouds are doing is they are absorbing the pressure. So they're causing a low pressure system. If you look at a weatherman, they have a bunch of L's and H's all over the board as well. That's because the clouds are causing a relief in pressure. So you get a low. If you have high pressure, it's usually on a clear day when there's no cloud cover. That's the same thing with the moon. If the moon is here, okay, it's causing a relief. That's what's causing the water to rise, because low pressure, low barometric pressure is at high tide. And high barometric pressure is at low tide. That's how it works. It's all in the Earth. It's a pressurized
system, a pressurized container. So you no longer need to apply this so-called force of gravity. See, what it is it's not the force of gravity that's holding you to the ground. It's the force of the ether, the barometric force, that's pushing you to the ground. And objects with heavier densities, let's say you had a block of lead and you had a block of wood. Well, the density of the molecules of the wood is not as dense as the lead, okay? There's more mass here because the ether is pushing down. This was the ground. And it's filtering through the wood easier than it is the lead. That's how it works here, okay? The higher you go, right? If you're here on the Rocky Mountains here, you weigh less because there's less pressure. There's less barometric pressure. There's less etheric pressure. So this whole thing about gravity is bullshit. It's a fictitious force. Everything is pressurized in the system, okay? The main force is magnetic and ether. So this ether, what it does is that there's a greater resistance here. There's a greater force around objects with higher densities. So the ether is generating more energy to keep it down. Okay, another reason why gravity is fictitious, there's a guy called Bruce De Palma, and he conducted this spinning pinball, basically, and he put it in a cup, basically, okay? And then there's two balls, basically. One is spinning, I think it was at 2,700 RPM, I'm not sure if that's the right speed, but one was spinning, and the other was stationary. And he was using a drill to spin this, but then he lifted the two balls off the cup simultaneously, pushed them up. And what he found out was that the ball that spun, it traveled higher than the ball that did not spin when they were lifted with the same force. So basically what's happening is that within the ether here, okay, the ball that is spinning, the etheric pressure is being twisted, kind of like it's not being applied fully onto the spinning object. So there's less resistance to the ether for spinning objects as opposed to the ball that was stationary, because the ether is just hitting it straight on. But here, as the ball is rising, the ether is not hitting the ball straight on, it's kind of going around the ball. Another thing about people brought up questions about, okay, then how do lunar eclipses happen within the Earth? Well, that's very easy. It's not the shadow of the Earth that's covering the moon. It's basically what I told you before, is that the sunlight is bending around the inside of the Earth, okay? So if this is the sun, let's put the moon over here now. See, the sunlight bends around like that, and that's what illuminates a full moon, okay? It's bending around both sides. However, what it does is it creates this little area. It's like a little funnel-shaped void of light. So as that moon passes through that void area, that area of darkness, it gets eclipsed. That's how lunar eclipses really happen.
The Garden of Eden, Mount Meru, Magnetic Mountain, 4 rivers. Now we know why they call it the magnetic mountain. Because within the concave earth, beneath the veiled celestial sphere, there is a pyramid, a double pyramid, emanating magnetism. The Garden of Eden has been found within the concave earth. Who have laid foundations of the earth? Foundations of the earth. Right there in the middle, that's just foundations of the earth. Laid them with measures. I stretched the lines across it. Yada, yada, yada. Where are the foundations fastened? It's floating right in the middle of the earth, in the middle of heaven. And the morning stars actually sang together. Well, the morning stars, when the cornerstone was laid on top of the north, on the sides of the north. Stars, solar luminescence, they're singing, get it? Sound, vibration. Yeah, I think you get it. And the sun's gonna shine into it too. So magnetite. It's a mineral, one of the 3 common naturally occurring iron oxides chemical formula, and a member of the spinel group. Magnetite is the most magnetic of all naturally occurring metals on Earth, or in Earth. Its crystal habit is octahedral. The most magnetic element in the Earth is octahedral. Go figure. In crystal field theory, octahedral complexes are by far the most common and the easiest to visualize. According to CFT, an octahedral metal complex forms because of the electrostatic interaction of a positively charged metal ion with 6 negatively charged ligands, or arms here, with ends of dipoles associated with the 6 ligands. So in the middle, you have the positive, middle of the earth, middle of the heaven, tree of life, whatever you want to call it. It's emanating this push, positive push. Remember the ether push. You're being pushed to the earth. Everything is being pushed from the center. The Earth's field are gyroscopically aligned to the north-south axis. Interesting. I told you about how when I did my auroras video, had the polar openings, so the magnetic north and south pole actually fluctuate a little bit due to the outer rind actually kind of bending. The actual heaven, central octahedral heaven, does not move. It's stationary. It says the foundations of the earth shall not be moved. Scripture. And then, of course, you got 4 equatorial equilibrium points, A, B, C, and D, right there in the ocean, that they balance the geostationary and geosynchronous satellites. So you tell me, how do you know there's an octahedron in the middle of the concave earth, Steve? How do you know? Well, like I told you before, I read the Bible, Job chapter 38, verses 4 through 7. Laid it with measures, stretched a line upon it, cornerstone was placed. I read Revelation 21, describes the city as wide as it is long, as it is high. It's 12,000 furlongs. And then I found out that there's magnetic equilibrium points within the ocean along the equator at 90 degrees apart. And then we have a little corroboration from our good old buddies at Not a Straight Answer. See, I was doing some studying up on the meteoroids that hit the glass sky at 100 kilometers. And
this lady was giving a presentation. She mentioned this little gem that just kind of piqued my interest. She said, the sources of these sporadic meteoroids are coming from the north apex and the south apex. They're also coming from the helion and the antihelion. When you think of pyramid and the word apex, an apex is the top of the pyramid, right? But if it's a north apex and a south apex, you're talking about a double pyramid, an octahedron, right? It's crazy, guys. And it's right there in plain sight. Let me show you. It's right there for you all to see. This is from Sporadic Meteor website. Sporadic meteors don't come from completely random directions, which your name implies. Most sporadic meteors come from 6 sporadic sources. Look at this. Look at this imagery. Look at this imagery, people. We have the celestial sphere in the middle of the Earth. We have the north apex side of the pyramid. We have the south apex side. I also mentioned to you before that the northern side was brighter than the southern side. Okay, now of course they're going to twist things. They're going to try to fit this within a heliocentric model. They're going to say, well, the apex meteor, the apex is in the direction of Earth's motion, so apex meteors collide head-on with Earth. The helion and antihelion, these are the helion and antihelion sources. Now this is also interesting too, because I mentioned before, on one side we have the sun, and then you have the anti-solar point, the Gegenschein. It's right there in plain sight, people. So, and then they also talk about a toroidal origin too. So, toroidal origin of meteors. These guys. So we have the helion and the antihelion coming from the sun, and then we also have the Gegenschein, where the sunlight converges on the opposite side, just like I told you before in concave Earth. Then we have the north and south apex. We have a octahedron in the middle of the concave Earth, in the middle of heaven, behind the celestial sphere. And the north and south toroidal origin actually traces the perfect outline of the celestial sphere. Even this asteroidal one does as well. It's right there in plain sight, ladies and gentlemen. This is the nail in the coffin for the concave Earth. No doubt about it. Oops, wrong image. No doubt about it, guys. No doubt about it whatsoever. This is what's going on, guys. It's right there. Right there. Why do you ask questions? Okay, seismic waves within inverted hollow Earth. Now there's a version by a man named Jan, whatever his name is, I'm correct, where he gives his own version of the hollow Earth, how the seismic waves move. Actually, initially they proposed this model. Okay, you're looking at the Earth, you're standing on the Earth, which is convex, which they have it. It's not really convex, but anyway, there's a shadow zone at 105 degrees and 140 degrees that virtually no seismic activity occurs there. However, there is still a little bit of activity that occurs there. If you look at this diagram of a solid convex Earth, they have 105 to 140 degrees where there's no seismic activity. You got the black lines and the red lines. The black lines are the P waves, the red lines are the S waves. The S waves are secondary, black lines are primary. Secondary waves don't travel through liquids or gases. They only travel through solids. There's a version of, okay, you got the P waves and the S waves. Problem is, okay, basically going back a little bit, there's a man named Moho Rivicic, seismic discontinuity. Basically, in Croatia, early 1900s, he talked about 35 kilometers below, there was a rapid acceleration in velocity at that level when there was an earthquake here in Croatia, basically. So he concluded that the material has to be denser. It has to be denser than
basalt rock, basically, because basalt rock, granite rock has densities of 2.6 to 3.0. Okay, so metals have a higher density. So basically, seismic activity, seismic waves can travel faster through metals, especially obviously fastest through platinum or gold. So going back here, I wanted to talk about a little bit about this discontinuity. They call it the moho or the mantle. Now he's saying there's actually a line that separates the crust from the mantle, but I'm saying the moho, you want to call it that, is the actual mantle. Okay, this is my version. The inverted hollow Earth. Okay, right here. I'm going to zoom in over there. Right there is the epicenter. Let's say the epicenter of the earthquake happens right there. Okay, you got, this is the continental, the granite plate. This is the basalt, the oceanic plate. I'm saying beneath that is the moho, the mantle. That's made out of metal. And then there's another layer of water. This is just speculation, but I believe that this is kind of what I've concluded, basically. And then there's also metal rind, and there's possibly even more layers of metal beneath that. I mean, this is the outside of the earth, okay? You think we are living in the inside of the earth, okay, up in the middle is heaven. There's octahedral core. And then you have inner space, you have the planets, you have the sun, the moon, okay? So basically here, okay, you have the epicenter, the earthquake, and the red line would be the secondary wave. The yellow line would be the primary wave. I'm saying that if there's an occurrence here, it's going to generate in both directions, obviously. I just have it going in one direction, but it's going to generate this seismic wave. The S waves and the P waves are going to be going through this solid metal very fast, very quickly. Okay, this is at the 105-degree shadow zone cutoff. So the red line abruptly stops because it's entering the liquid. Okay, there's a liquid here. This is what I'm saying. I'm not sure, I'm just speculating. And P wave continues on into the liquid, but it's too weak to reach the surface. So you still get some seismic data within the shadow zone, but you don't get that much, basically. That's what I put this video, basically. So anyway, what's going on here, I believe, is that the P wave is continuing on into this liquid, and then it's beginning to reflect back, curve around back. So basically, at the surface here, okay, here's the ocean, here's the land. When you're detecting seismic activity below, obviously the signal is getting weaker because it's getting further down, but you're still detecting it. Okay, once it enters, once it exits the mantle, the moho, it enters the liquid state, you can barely hear any seismic activity whatsoever in the shadow zone. Especially, you cannot hear any S waves. But the P waves continue on. And P waves reverse back, and then they hit the other side of the earth. So that is actually a biblical model too, as well, because if we look at Psalm 12, the words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Silver and earth and 7 times. It's very interesting because Cyrus T, a lot of people think he's a whack job, but actually he was a very intelligent man. And looking back in retrospect, I think he was a little bit too, it was just a little bit too rigid in some of the terminology, but he had it right. He said, okay, the universe is an agar shell obtaining as a structure perpetually recreative and existent. It is limited by the environment of its shell circumferentially and by the astral nucleus centrally. Now, number 3, its circumference has 7 metallic layers of superimposed strata. Okay, 5 mineral strata. Okay, so he's basing this. I'm not sure if he's having divine revelation. He said he did actually, but I tend to believe, yeah, the Earth has a metal
rind to it. Earth also rings like a bell. Okay, so basically, you have this metal rind. I can even add the other layers to it. It does have these other layers here. Basically, you have these layers, and they're sandwiched between. I think Cyrus Teed actually said there was like a mercurial solution in between them, but this is speculation. But this works. This works much better than the solid Earth hypothesis, as well as the convex hollow Earth hypothesis. Jan Lamprecht basically saying that initially, okay, this is the initial version of the seismic activity on a convex planet that happens to be hollow in theory, basically. But they only have the S&P waves going to about 80 degrees. So this is where they would need to go. And so they have to revise their model, create this much smaller interior, this much smaller hollow interior. And they have to say, well, okay, then the S waves are gradually speeding up as you get deeper and deeper, as the material becomes more denser, and then it transitions and it starts to shift and become less dense, so it slows down. Now, this is all conjecture and theory, and it's just a ridiculous model, because if you understand anything about information being suppressed and the true nature, I mean, watch my other videos. This is the true nature. We are living inside the concave edge of the Earth, which is stationary. Cyrus Teed performed a rectilinear experiment in 1897, and there's also the Tamarack plumbob mine shaft experiments, which showed that the plumbobs actually diverged at the bottom of the mine shaft. So basically, one thing that Lambert does right is that he does attest that the shadow zone is not completely void of seismic activity. The solid Earth is what we believe. And another thing about the solid Earth is they have to figure out why the P waves are reaching the other side of the Earth a lot later than they should. And so basically they're saying that that's why they create this I guess you would call that the outer core. They're saying that there's higher elasticity there. It's not necessarily lower density. It's just all theory, conjecture, and bullshit. Okay? Just understand that there is a metal outer edge to the Earth. There's at least one metal outer edge to the Earth. The Bible confirms that, Cyrus Teed confirms that, and seismic activity confirms it. Okay, these seismic waves are moving very fast through this medium, especially when it hits the so-called MOHO layer, the mantle, 35 to 50 kilometers. So that's the true nature of the universe, really, inside of it. So, you guys don't agree with me? No, go fuck off. Have a great day, too.
this video is about light actually slowing down. It really does. Despite the fact that we call it C rate, like constant. Well, we should really call it I as inconstant, because light does definitely slow down, and there are many different ways you can actually slow down light. You go into Wiki, I'll show you that a little bit later, but what's happening here is that we actually have glass spheres that are enveloping the sun and the moon, and then there's a different glass sphere enveloping, sorry, the initial glass sphere is the one at 100 kilometers. Obviously, I told you that before, but as you get closer to the celestial sphere up in heaven, you're going to have a glass sphere that's enveloping the moon, and has some type of negative refractive quality to it, due to some type of phase conjugation wave coherence with the bending of the light, and it creates a negative refractive glass rainbow. So your apogees are reversed and the perigees are reversed. So it also decreases the terminator when near the sun, and also it makes the moon look not quite spherical. If you really examine it closely, you'll find out that actually it appears to be a little bit flatter. And that's due to the actual negative refractive glass quality to it. It's actually changing its shape, changing the way how much light is actually reflected onto the moon, and also slowing down light. Definitely slowing down light. It has to do with some type of single negative metamaterial, or both, double negative metamaterial. I think it has to do with both those glass spheres. And I told you before, the outside glass sphere is like a dewar, so it creates this high vacuum state within that area. And so if like we have these cosmic rays, remember I told you how they're hitting a negative meniscus. They're originating from the north, pass through the celestial sea, and they go through these type of negative meniscus lenses. They branch out like that, and but they accelerate in velocity. As you see, you can see it as the light within the area between the sun planet glass and the celestial sphere. Light is very, very slow, but you also notice that the area that's between, well, the moon area, the area that's between the moon glass sphere and the planet glass sphere, you'll see the light actually increases in velocity, and it increases even more so once it leaves that area. So we're getting these high accelerated velocity cosmic rays hitting the Earth, and they're hitting negative menisci. That's all there is to it. Simple, case closed. So all these mysteries are solved, and when you look into radar astronomy, you'll find out. Oh, they'll tell you, yeah, because they think light is a constant, right? They'll tell you that Mercury 3.2 minutes away when they beam a radar beam or signal up into the cosmos, and it will return back to Earth. And they say that Venus is 6 minutes away, Mars is 12.6 minutes away, Jupiter 43.2, Saturn 79.3, Uranus 159.6, Neptune 4.1, and Pluto 5.5. Well, basically what's happening as the light is getting closer toward the celestial sphere, it's dramatically decreasing. So you see the sun over there, like around that area, that's where Mercury and Venus pretty much reside, in that area away. And so they're going to be, as far as like reflecting back radio signals to Earth at that area, it's going to be pretty much the same. I mean, they're going to say the sun is, 93 million miles away, or 150,000 kilometers away. Well, that matches it pretty closely when you understand. And they will tell you that Venus is like 260,000 kilometers away. And so within that area between Venus and the sun, there's a dramatic increase in time as it gets closer with the sun, as you see there. So that's what's happening there. So light is definitely varying in velocity. I talked also about how we have the dielectric inertial plane, and it increases and decreases light toward the equator versus toward the poles. Even Richard Cohen told me that. He told us that. He was an ex-NASA mathematician. So that's what's going on here. And so many different ways you can slow down light. I mentioned before in a previous video. I also talked about the bounce, right? The echo, the space echo that's talked about too. Well, that too is happening because the light is slowing down like that, and it's hitting. They say, well, it'll take about 3 seconds for the space echo to happen. So if you zoom in into that really close here, wait a second. that echo is at 3 seconds. So it's hitting that glass sphere in the middle, and it's bouncing back. And phase conjugation will reflect it back. That signal back will mirror it, basically. So that's what's happening there. There's a phase conjugation video I talked about. So there's many reasons to understand. This makes perfect sense. Why the moon? I talked about how the moon probably originated within the primary field in the center of the octahedron on one of the sides, a confinement dome, and the sun being the other one. And so everything is perfectly resolved like that. You understand how celestial objects orbit, how they whirl. Remember previous video I talked about the world. Well, the real world is inside the Earth. So that's what's happening with that. Okay. So keep in mind, sorry, Mr. Einstein, light is not a constant. But all these are ways you can slow down light. Before electrolation, four-way mixing, all these different ways, photonic crystals. So yeah, we got this. Think in terms of superconductivity up in the center of the Earth. Frigidity. That's why we have the frigidity of space. Okay, so that's why we can predict celestial objects, and there's no stopping these. There's no resistance to these celestial objects. So we can predict timed events like eclipses and other space anomalies as well, because it's in a superconductive, very, very frigid state where it slows the light down, but it also keeps everything timed perfectly. I mean, this would never work if you had Earth orbiting a sun at 93 million miles away. I mean, you'd have variance. For one thing, it doesn't even make sense. Gravity is a fictitious lie. We're not attracted by gravity. There's ether within the Earth. I told you about that before in previous videos, with my previous videos. But understanding negative index metamaterial, creating the glass, negative refraction, electromagnetically induced transparency, all these different possibilities. I mean, it's ridiculous to call light C, to label it C. It's ridiculous. It's not C, Albert. The reason why they still call it C, they hang on to it because their model falls apart without C, without constant gravitational velocity or light velocity. It doesn't work. Okay? So there is slowing down of light extremely. I mean, they can, even in laboratories, they can slow it down to like the speed of a minivan, or slower. They can actually even stop it. So it does, when they give you these idiotic Earth bounce, 2.5 seconds, totally oblivious to the fact how light actually slows down like that. Okay, told you before, plenty of reasons why to understand that there's glass there, gravitational lensing. Okay, it will actually bulge out that area in front of the sun, the glass area in front of the sun. That's why we get that shifting during eclipses or even during nighttime with coronagraphs. You will see a bulging because of the refractive glass and the heat expanding that area, and then bringing it back once the sun leaves that area and bulges out the other area that's in front of it. Okay, you understand? Okay. No other options. You're inside the concave Earth, and I happen to be the Lord. I just so happen to be the Lord. Take it or leave it, but it's the truth. I love my creation, I love my Earth, and this is really establishing the groundwork, the blueprints to help you understand my kingdom is imminent. We're going to set it up soon, okay? Understand?
Okay, a couple weeks ago, one of my friends here on YouTube, Carol, he sent me some interesting information about a comment on this guy's video. Now this guy, his name is Mariusz ZENITH. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just totally tortured his name, but this guy, I believe he's Polish, and he believes in concave Earth, and he does a bunch of videos on concave Earth. Of course, I don't speak his language, so I literally have no clue what he's saying. Now, what he was saying is he had a comment underneath one of his videos where a non-believer in concave Earth was putting out these debunk videos. This is one of the videos here. And underneath his video, there's a comment down here. I can't read this stuff, so I don't know which comment it is, but I do have the translation of the comments. Okay? And what it is there was a guy who basically didn't believe in concave Earth, and he did a bunch of experiments of his own to test whether or not concave Earth actually could be scientifically accurate, that the Earth is actually concave rather than convex. So instead of us being on the outside of a ball, we're on the inside of a ball. So, you know, you have flat Earth, you have convex Earth, you have concave Earth. So either we're on a flat plane, we're on the outside of a ball, or on the inside of the ball, right? And so this guy was totally objective. He didn't actually believe in concave Earth at all, and he did 2 experiments. And he wrote this comment underneath this guy's video, the debunker guy's video, okay? And here's the comments. I've been watching your polemics video with this guy for some time, and here's what I see. You're one of those scientifically enlightened that are so well educated that they won't even think for a while by what kind of mendacity and lies they're surrounded with, and that the world might look completely different than what TV shows. You're a typical lemming. You're the higher education, but probably not the basic one. What's more, you're unable to come up with something on your own. You just philosophize about someone else's work. Move your ass and do something that anyone can do, and you will find out. In other words, this guy didn't believe in concave Earth that's talking here, and he actually did something to test whether or not it's true. And he's saying that this debunker guy doesn't do anything but just sit around talking, okay? But this guy actually went out and did a couple tests. So now he's talking about the concave Earth here. He says, when I came upon this guy's videos on concave Earth, I laughed and disbelieved, and then decided to make 2 experiments he's talking about. First, recently in September, I took a pontoon, a strong laser, and made the water experiment on ZENITH Lake. The water was perfectly smooth, no wind. Me and my friend stuck a vertical stake in the water and fixed the laser on it on the height of 30 centimeters above the water surface. My friend sailed to the other shore, about 2 kilometers from the first stake, and placed a stake there too. By communicating on the phone, I set the laser beam on his stake at the same height, 30 centimeters above the water surface. When he confirmed that the height was the same on his stake too, the laser was then rigidly fixed to the first stake with 2 wing screws. My friend sailed back to my position, and together we made a measurement in the middle of the distance between the 2 stakes. So in other words, you have stake 1 with the laser on it, stake 2. The stake 1 has the laser 30 centimeters above the water. Stake 2, he has the laser centered on that stake at 30 centimeters above the water. Then they sailed to the center between the 2 stakes, and they were going to measure how high the laser was above the water using another stake. So let's see, where is this at? Okay, so my friend sailed back to my position. Together we made a measurement in the middle of the distance between the 2 stakes. The measurement showed that the distance from the water surface to the beam was 39 to 40 centimeters. We decided to check if everything was okay with the laser and the stakes. Everything was still perfectly fine. We made another measurement in the middle, and it showed the same thing as previously. The beam was about 40 centimeters above the water surface. So in other words, on both ends, the laser was 30 centimeters above the surface of the water on both shorelines. However, in the center, the laser was 40 centimeters above the water's surface, which would indicate the water actually curved like this, rather than like this, or rather than just straight. So it actually showed that the lake had some sort of concavity to it of 10 centimeters in the center. So if you go 1 kilometer, you go down 10 centimeters in arc if you're having, two stakes at equal levels above the water. So the water actually goes down 10 centimeters in concavity. So I thought this is an interesting experiment. Anybody can do this experiment. And this guy was not even a believer in concave Earth at all. And now he is after doing this experiment. And this isn't the only experiment he did. The other experiment was with a ferry on Canary Islands. Ferries between Tenerife and Gran Canaria sail quite often, so you can make a couple of experiments on one day. I used my binoculars, not too strong, 1035, and a tourist telescope fixed on a viewpoint. The experiment showed the same thing this guy you were arguing with said. When the chimneys of the When the chimneys of the ferries disappeared under the water, I used my binoculars. So in other words, with his eyesight, he looked at this ferry, and when the chimney had gone beneath the water horizon, so it actually went completely under the horizon at normal eyesight, is what he's saying. Okay, so he said it disappeared under the water. I used and then he pulled out his binoculars to look, and the ferry was there again. It popped up again. So in other words, when he looked at this plain of sight, the ferry is over the horizon, as they claim. Then he took out his binoculars and looked at it, and there the ferry is. It didn't. In other words, every time you got a stronger magnification, the ferry's back there again in front of you. It didn't go over the horizon. So in other words, it's an optical illusion, which is what I've been saying all this time. And I'm going to show some footage in this video too, so you'll see what I'm talking about. This clearly shows that there's something going on with bending light, and that your eye follows the curvature of the bending light, and that's why it looks like something goes over the horizon when it really doesn't. The ferry period in this entirety again, so don't tell me you're bullshit, but move your ass and do something on your own instead of criticizing this. Additionally, I recommend the view from Tide, a volcano, from a height of over 2,000 meters, ocean all around you. Whenever you look at the horizon, it is flat like a ruler. So you can put all your derivations in your ass. Okay, I don't know this guy. I'm just reading his comment here. And this was in another language too, by the way. This was in Polish. And apparently the guy didn't believe in concave Earth at all, but he was being objective and he wanted to test it to see who was telling the truth. And he did the 2 experiments the man mentioned, and it showed something indeed is going on here. That what you perceive as front of you a flat plane, there's something going on with bending light. And further, if you do this measurement with a laser, you see a slight deviation of a concavity on this lake. It's kind of interesting, you know. So I thought I would just do a video on this, kind of discussing this little, objective experiment. I mean, the guy was a total disbeliever in this, and now he believes in it. So.
Meet the Landers, the revolutionary new standing desk from iMover. Featuring the latest in high-tech advancements, the Landers set up in just minutes and come with a free smartphone app. The Lander is entirely made in the USA from the highest quality components, featuring ergo-contoured 3D laminated surfaces, as well as dual precision Bosch motors that can silently lift up to 360 pounds, while still having the safety of anti-collision technology. We offer the industry's best warranty and a 100-day satisfaction guarantee. For more information, visit landerdesk.com.
You and your team need to get things done. With Monday.com, it's easy, fun, and simple. Just add the workflow that suits you. Whether you're a small team or a big organization, everyone will know who's doing what. Click drag and drop to create your board exactly the way you want it. Mention your teammates in real time, share files, assign people to tasks, stay in control on the go with our mobile apps, and see exactly who's responsible for what. With just a few clicks, you can plan for the future and manage your workload visually. Like a Gantt chart, but simple, intuitive, and totally focused on people. Your team is organized, efficient, and on the same page. So go to Monday.com and create your free account today.
Okay, before looking at the larger one over here, a really powerful one, let's take a look at a different type of pyramidal array. This one actually is a 1/2 inch thick. It's still 2 by 2 at the base, and it also tapers to 1 inch with a 1 inch base that tapers to 3 millimeters. But as you can see, it's a lot more squat, and obviously creates this bent pyramid versus this one, which actually is a 1 inch high. It's still 2 by 2, the same as the other one. But let's actually take a look at the plane of inertia, how it actually convexes in towards the tip on this, and then we'll actually look at the powerful one underneath the supercell here. Let me place it here. Let me zoom in a little bit better so you can see it. Instead of a straight plane of inertia, you can actually see how it curves towards the tip of the pyramid. The plane of inertia is depressed inside of the magnet like this, and it doesn't matter which way I turn it. It's always a mirror image, each and every little side. And here you can see it actually, the actual field geometry of the magnetism on this is actually as if there was a, the plane of inertia is depressed like a bowl formation at the center. Also too, this one underneath the supercell, it's actually quite interesting how it actually comes off like this. You can see right angles. It's different. I need to make this, remake this cell. It's getting old and it's been burned in a little bit. These powerful ones burn it in. Let me set this magnet over here safely out of the way, and then what I'll do is I'll grab the powerful beast, and then I'll bring it over here. Let me actually, first let me put it on its tip, and if you actually place it on its tip, it doesn't look any much dissimilar. Wait till I change positions, however, from any other magnets. That looks the same. It's hard to get focus on this, but you'll notice a distinct difference at the point of the centripetal inertia and acceleration on the side profile. And by the way, the side profile in this looks the same, except it's more pronounced when I added the 2 by 2 by 1 inch thick block booster to the base. It looks exactly the same before I did that, except it's slightly more pronounced. So now let's see where the rubber meets the road, the difference, and you might be surprised, or you may not. I predicted it would look this way. And of course, bring it here. Here, of course, I'm looking at the bottom, but let me bring the tip up. And focus. Someone's going, focus, focus. Here we go. Here you can actually see the stark side profile and the plane of inertia right here. Of course, that's the base down there, but I press the magnet up. You zoom in a little bit more. There we go. I don't want to get my recorder too close because it's so powerful. Here you can actually see this pyramidal point right here. Now let's do top profile and then to side profile. I really need to remake this supercell bad. And as I bring it to the side profile here, we'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. Side profile to top, side to top, side. So here you can actually see this looking pressed up against the tip of the pyramid plane of inertia with this pyramidal distortion, because all the magnetic flux, just like a fireman's hose, is escaping right out of this 3 by 3 millimeter tip. The side profile shows, sorry about the camera movement here, shows a portal plane of inertia is identical no matter what side I use. It starts right about here, going to the tip. Bring it up against the tip once again so you can see it. And of course, also at the bottom, if I could actually, I can't tilt this up on its bottoms, excuse me, up on its top, but you just see this. But a portal, or dielectric portal, if you will, we call it a few different things, is increased at the base, and it's just simplex pressure mediation. You can actually see the size of it and the distortion from the constructive and destructive interference around it at the base, because normally this would not be this big. This is large. But also, too, the plane of inertia, just the same as on the other magnet, is curved like this. So the plane of inertia is curved, just as you saw on the other bent pyramid, if you will, so to say. I call it a bent pyramid. And it's curved like this, so the actual plane of inertia curved like this towards the point is literally a vortex that is pouring right to the tip. This is the one and only time where, and I can't stand New Age stuff. That offends you, so what? I can't stand New Age stuff, but this is the one time where you could actually say pyramid power is actually real, because it is real when it comes to pressure mediation like this. We actually have as a conjugate of the point source of the magnetism, what actually defines a magnet. Since it's not quantitative, it's qualitative. The qualitative definition of a magnet is a point source emission with geomagnetic precession. What we actually have here, of course, with any magnet, is a point source field coherency, but we also have a conjugate point source, where each and every magnet, since these are operating as one now, since they're collectively together, this one, this piece, and this piece are acting together, we actually have a point source emission here, but the magnet itself will, by the whole, either in whole or in part, which of course is both acting, these three pieces as a whole, are point source field coherency. But also, too, in addition to that, we have a multiplicative of point source. So we have point source in the whole that defines the qualitative nature of a magnet, and we have point source specifically, which is, now the first point source is incommensurable and has actually no location, since obviously you could slice a magnet like a hunk of salami, a million slices. If you could do that, of course you can't, but if you could, each slice would have a quote-unquote north pole and south pole. So the one point source in the magnet is incommensurable, but the second point source is not incommensurable, because its location or topos is right here. And if you actually wanted to say magnetism, laser, this would actually be the closest analog. What's the difference between a light and a laser? This would be the closest analog that I could think that people could wrap their minds around as far as what defines as being the single most powerful magnets for its size and volume on Earth. This one I'm got right here. I'm trying to back my video device away so I don't ruin it. And here you can see the pyramidal shape on the point of increasing inertia and acceleration. This black hole, if you will, except it's not a hole shape, is pyramid shape. And I can actually say that this is the first time ever anybody, ever in history, has used a supercell constructive destructive interference magnetism viewing device with a pyramidal magnet. So actually this is the first video of its kind ever done by anybody ever. Actually, the guy that actually sells these pyramidal magnets has never even heard of a ferrocell or supercell. Never heard of it. He's not really into magnetism, nor does he know anything about it, but that's not an insult. That's just describes everybody. So, there we go. Here's the world's first view underneath a supercell viewing device of the world's most powerful permanent magnet for its size and volume. And here you can see literally the pyramidal point of increasing inertia and acceleration. Pyramidal, you can see it's pyramidal, right? It's exactly as I predicted it would be. I don't know if that's exciting or not for you, but can't say no one has ever seen it before. And when I first saw it, I was the first person in the world to see it. So now you're the second people in the world to see it. Thank you so much for watching. This is, I don't know if that was anticlimactic or not, but this is what a lot of people had asked me for. God, this sucker's powerful. Did you see the magnet? There's a piece of metal underneath this table. I put the magnet over there and went, chop. It's so powerful. Thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos, you can click the link below. Tell me to jump off a cliff, whatever makes you happy. And peace out, Girl Scout. Magnetism.
Okay, I want to talk about a few things, guys. One is I'm going to blast the misconception of twinkling stars and the redshifts and quasars. Traditional astronomy will tell you that the redshift stars is indicating velocity, distance away from you. The more the redshift of a star, the farther away and the faster it's traveling away from you, which is complete bollocks, as idiot Brits would say. What I told you before, guys, there are actually two levels of glass within the Earth. Two levels, okay? If this is the Earth here, okay, this thin line would be the glass sky at 100 kilometers. And then this line right here would be the celestial sphere glass, which is approximately maybe 2,400 miles away, up in the middle of the Earth. So you have the central octahedron in the middle here. You have a celestial ocean inside, water is above, water is below, so you have water below here in the ocean. And then you have the stars at the bottom of the ocean, and they're created by sonoluminescence. During the time of the flood, these sonoluminescent stars, they clustered together and they became very hot. And they began to melt through the glass, celestial firmament, and creating these little pockets, these little indentations and openings. The windows of heaven were opened, right? Windows of heaven were opened, and so the water came down. The water also came up from the fountains of deep of the earth. So we had water coming down and water coming up. And so after the water came down and after the sand came down too, sand is what created this secondary firmament at 100 kilometers, which actually pushed the water down. That's why we have the rainbow, because the sun is within this region here. So the sun, only a half sphere, everything is operating on curved light. And so that's why we see rainbows, because the sun is being dispersed through this glass medium and being projected onto the raindrops. The raindrops are not the source of rainbow. But anyway, going back to the celestial sphere glass sky, it healed back together. So it closed up. The windows of heaven were closed after the great flood. So now you have these indentations, these peaks and valleys. This glass celestial firmament, because of the way it had been ruptured, it had been opened up, and then it healed back together, it's not perfectly smooth like that. It's more like this glass here. You have these bumps all over it. That's why, okay, they call it, not sure if I spelled this right, scintillation. Stellar scintillation, that's why they say stars twinkle. That's not, they say it's due to the atmosphere. They say that the atmosphere has different layers of density, and because we're viewing the stars through these different layers of density in the atmosphere, it will cause the stars to twinkle. However, we don't see the planets twinkling. Now, there's a reason why we don't see the planets twinkling, because the planets are not above this non-smooth celestial firmament. they are in the region of inner space where the sun is. So the planets are here. Okay. So we're not going to see the twinkling of the planets because they're not being viewed through this warped glass medium. Very simple, guys. Okay, so here's like a close-up of this crystalline celestial sphere, and you have these peaks and valleys in it, right? Okay. Redshift is very simple to understand. If you understand glass, if you understand light being dispersed through glass, it's creating the dispersion. It's creating the fringe effect. Okay, so if you're looking up through the celestial sphere, there's going to be a chromatic aberration going on, where the blues will appear to be closer to the fringe, and the reds will be appearing further away. And for the most part, generally, that's what's happening with the stars. Most of the stars we see with a higher redshift are further away. They're not millions and billions of light years away. They're simply above the glass sky, being affected by the chromatic aberration. However, there's some, see, this is where they can't understand where quasars fit into the equation, because quasars have a very high redshift. Very high redshift. Okay? And Hubble didn't realize this when he came up with the redshift theory. He didn't understand that there were quasars that were actually breaking the laws of redshift, of the so-called Doppler effect. That's simply not what's happening. If you understand that there are peaks and valleys in this glass sky, the celestial firmament, you can have a stellar object that is closer than a galaxy. Remember I said galaxies are just drains? They're drain remnants. The drain remnants of what happened after the flood. After the windows of heaven were sealed back up, you have these spirals indicating drainage of the water coming down. So, and then after it healed up, of course, you have these this non-uniform surface now. It's a bumpy surface. And so chromatic aberration in different areas of the sky will filter through these bumps and cause redshifts, even redshifts in objects that are even closer than galaxies. So there's a particular quasar that they can't understand where it's coming from, where the redshift, why it appears to be connected, because there's like this jet that's connected to this quasar at 7319. And see, NGC 7319. Stupid camera. Next. So they can't understand where it's coming from. Why that quasar, which appears to be connected to that galaxy, has a higher redshift than the galaxy and the stars in the galaxy above. There's a much higher redshift. Okay, well, it's very simple. You're looking through this warped, this non-uniform surface, and you're getting different refraction. You're getting different aberration, different fringe effects. That's all that's happening. Okay. Now, also, keep in mind, when you see stars twinkle, they're mostly at the horizon. They're at the lower levels of the sky. So that's because you're getting your angle of incidence. You're viewing the stars through a more acute angle. So that's why you're seeing the twinkling happening, especially at the horizons. That's why planets don't twinkle. Now, let's say if you take the Hubble telescope above the atmosphere, you're going to see the stars not twinkling. Well, no. That to me, that is bullshit. They don't show any image. They just show imagery, still images of the Hubble. They don't show actual animated, moving, twinkling of the stars. So that's what's going on here, guys. Twinkling is happening because these bumps in the celestial sphere are being viewed are actually filtering the stars in which we see them. That's why planets don't twinkle, because they're not above the bumpy crystalline sphere. Understand? So, modern cosmology is debunked. Stellar scintillation is debunked. See, the atmosphere is just it's very homogeneous. There's not all these weird turbulences like they say. The turbulence is coming, the so-called turbulence is coming from the glass, the two glass guys. That's where the turbulence is coming. The so-called turbulence. But it's really chromatic aberration. Good old chromatic aberration. That's why we get the redshifts. That's why we get higher levels of redshift in certain areas, even though it appears closer than the connected galaxies in these quasars, because of these bumps in the celestial firmament, which was damaged at the time of the flood. Bada bing.
Okay, I'd actually done this video ages ago. This is the 6" by 2" N45 Gauss neodymium iron boron monster magnet. Here we actually have a compass. The shiny part is, of course, aluminum, and the flywheel is made out of brass. The only reason I have the markings on here is so you can actually see the flywheel stopping. Now, the question is, if everybody thinks that magnetism is magnetism, you actually take a Gauss meter, which, of course, magnetism is not magnetism, which is kind of a senseless statement until I actually explain it. And, of course, I explain that in my book and also in my lecture. You actually take a Gauss meter, you actually see that the Gaussian flux right at the center of this magnet is about as strong as it is right along the edge here. There's an intermediate zone right here, but the actual conjugate nature of the geometry of both magnetism and dielectricity are two totally different things. It's the closest simple analogy I could actually draw is to define water pressure at your shower head to be equal to that of the flow rate of it actually going down the drain, if the two were equal. While the flow rate would be equal, that doesn't actually define what one is. One is qualitatively different than the other. The actual centripetal convergence here of increasing inertia and acceleration at the center of this magnet is completely different than the centrifugal magnetism that exists out here. This is actually not magnetism at all. However, a Gauss meter doesn't check for that. It only checks for flux and actual rate. What we actually have here is increasing inertia and acceleration. So if I actually take the flywheel and place it equidistant right here at the dead center of the magnet, I should get the exact same results than if I actually take it right over here at the edge, which if you could actually imagine a strong flow coming out in a toroidal, i.e. donut-shaped formation with reciprocation to the other side. Of course, reciprocation is kind of a convoluted word. We're actually talking about force and motion. We're talking about geomagnetic precession. But the point being that, well, a Gauss meter will register essentially the same Gaussian flux right here at the edge as it does the center. We have two completely different natures. So if they are identical, placing the compass with the brass flywheel here, don't say Lenz's law, don't say eddy currents to me. Okay, we're talking about magnetism here. According to every modern connotation and denotation of magnetism, the center of this magnet should have equal results with the brass flywheel as it does right here in the face of the centrifugal edge, but they're wholly different. What we actually have here along the edge is true magnetism. This is actually an extremely simplex principle of Mother Nature, this conjugate nature of magnetism and dielectricity. However, explaining it is rather difficult, and that's unfortunate. What we actually have here is increasing inertia and acceleration. We actually have the point of centripetal convergence, i.e. increasing dielectricity. The conjugate nature, the inverse toroid and hyperboloid, the inverse of a hyperboloid is a toroid, the inverse of a toroid is a hyperboloid. We actually have this yin and yang or mirror image, inverse image of inertia and acceleration and force and motion. What am I going to actually do? This, in the purpose of making this video, I kind of forgot. Someone's going to make fun of me there. I'm going to use this a Dremel tool to actually spin up that was kind of fun. This is what happens when you're concentrating on making the video instead of forgetting that you actually have steel inside this Dremel tool and getting it close to this monster magnet. So that was my stupidity on that part because I'm kind of concentrated on explaining things. So go ahead and make fun of me there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this gyroscope up, and then I'm going to show you the difference between here and here. What I'm going to do is place it right out here in space, so it's the same distance from the surface of the monster magnet, but instead of placing it at the point of centrifugal convergence, we're going to place it at the point of centrifugal divergence, or true magnetism. You're going to notice it'll just spin and spin and spin right here until, of course, friction takes over on the actual bearings of the compass. And out here, we're going to have very, very rapid deceleration.
I'm Christina Stumble, and I chose the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. With unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy, why wouldn't I get this card? I redeemed $115,000 in cash back, which doubled our marketing budget last summer. What's in your wallet?
You'll have the best of me, I'll have the best of you. We'll share this life like we ought to. We'll share this life like we ought to.
On Mom's Day and every day. They all life's moments and beautifully kitted.
Acceleration of the brass flywheel. So let me spin it up here. That was kind of embarrassing there, really it was. And I knew that, of course, and yet I was not paying attention. When you don't pay attention, stupid stuff happens. Okay. Place it right here at the center. Remember, I have markings on the top of the flywheel so you could see it spin down if it were. So don't let it sit here for a while. Okay. I'm not touching the axle, the flywheel of the gyroscope. If you did hear it properly, you can hear it spinning and spinning really fast. Let me bring it up next to the microphone here. No, you can't hear it. But it's spinning really good. So now let's place it out here, right at the position. You notice it's spinning down rapidly? You see it spinning down. And you're thinking, well, that's just it running out of energy. Well, no, before you draw any conclusions, let me actually spin it up again. Place it at the centrifugal edge. So get a nice spin on it here. Let's place it right up here at the edge, where the centrifugal magnetism actually exists. I'm not touching the flywheel, I'm not touching the axle, of course. You notice rapid spin down? She actually has really good bearings. This is actually a slightly expensive compass. It's made in England. They stopped making these. I keep saying compass. I meant to say gyroscope. I think by experimenting over this monster magnet has affected my brain a little bit. So someone's going to make fun of me over the letting me the Dremel tool. There we go. Let's just place it there for a second. There we go. Anyway, you can see it not spinning down here. You can actually hear a slight rattle. The bearings are a little worn, but not very. Spinning, spinning, spinning. All I have to do is just take it out here to the centrifugal edge, where the actual true magnetism exists, and you'll see a rapid spin down. Now, description is not an explanation. Don't say eddy current or lens law to me. And I'll tell you very quickly why. Okay. It's decelerated. When you say eddy currents and you say lens law to me, you see, according to every modern denotation and connotation of magnetism, by using a Gauss meter, you actually have high magnetic flux right here, intermediate zone right here, and high right along the edge.
This is undeniable. Absolutely everybody on Earth that knows anything about magnetism will agree on that fact. However, they think this is magnetism and this is magnetism, but that's not the case. This is true magnetism. This is force and motion. This is actual true magnetism. This is centrifugal divergence that makes up the toroidal geometry of true magnetism, which is the creation of space. To say create space and say magnetism, to say volume, is one and the same thing. Everything in the universe only has volume due to magnetism. This, even though it has high Gaussian flux, again, once again, I could kind of think of the simplest analogy. The simplest analogy is, well, water pressure at the shower head is, if it's the same pressure as it's flowing down the drain, it's the same. I got the same pressure at the shower head as we do at the drain. Say we have a little whirlpool at the drain. It's like, well, we have the exact same flow rate, if that were the case in the case of the shower head versus the shower drain, the bathtub drain. But they're two completely different things. Of course, that's as far as the analogy goes, but this is not the same thing as this. This is also two-way seed experimentation and water experimentation. It's not the same when you actually place it right here. To actually do the seed experimentation, you actually have to place it along the centrifugal edge, not the point of centripetal convergence. See, every branch of modern science and physics says, well, this is magnetism, high Gaussian flux right here, measurable with a Gauss meter. And so is this. No, they're two completely and totally different things. I bet everybody's going to make fun of me over ignoring the fact that I had the Dremel tool in my hand and I was here this close to the monster magnet and I jumped to the monster magnet. You have every right to make fun of me because I was concentrating on the video. That was pretty stupid, quite honestly. This is why you shouldn't concentrate on three important things at one time, especially if you have something metal. Getting close to a monster magnet. There you go, baby. Thank you so much for watching. So try to solve that mystery. It's not a mystery at all, but it's an easy way to stump a scientist. When I made this video before, like about a year ago, people said, oh, we are holding the flywheel. It's actually putting it right here on the edge where it'll really decelerate fast. People say, oh, you're touching it. You're causing it. I was not touching it at all. Those people are liars. I was not touching it. People said, oh, you're touching the axle. Or, oh, the brass flywheel was touching the edge of the magnet. No. I was not doing that. I would never make a deceptive video like that. If you don't believe me, you can reproduce this experiment yourself. You'll get exactly the same results. You see, if this is magnetism and this is magnetism, they're both the same thing since they basically have the same Gaussian flux, then this compass should behave. I keep saying compass. Oh, Lordy. The gyroscope should behave the same here as it does here, but it does not. The reason why I'm always thinking of compass when I actually hold a gyroscope is actually a complicated reason, but I grew up with the gyroscopes and compasses, and it's actually a complicated answer when my brain always wants to say compass when I'm holding a gyroscope. So I think I made that mistake 3 or 4 times in this video. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like these videos. If you do, you can click the link below. And I'm going to catch hell for letting my Dremel tool had jumped to. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like these videos.
Do you know why the sky gets red at sunrise or sunset? How many people know? How many people really know? This is what somebody might tell you. Sunlight encounters more air molecules when the sun is lower in the sky than when the sun is overhead. Even more blue light is scattered away, leaving mostly the reddish component of white sunlight to travel. The straighter path to your eyes, so the setting looks red. Sounds good, right? Yeah. Yeah, sure. But it's not the correct answer. What I'd like to do is demonstrate. Here's a nice, beautiful sunrise, a reddish sky. Let's look at glass dispersion colors. I've seen this image before. White light passes through a glass and it gets dispersed into the spectrum. Red is the least refracted color. Violet is the most refracted. Keep that in mind. Red is the least refracted color. All right. Concave Earth, glass sky, sunlight. Let me try drawing this for you on paper. I gotta adjust my camera, but we'll see how we can do it. I gotta turn the camera upside down. 1 second here, guys. Alright. There's a camera. There we go. Alright. Sorry about the angle. That's the best I can do with this setting. Okay. Uh-oh. Stay. Alright. Microphone over here. Okay. Trusty pencil. Now keep in mind this would be a full circle, looking top down, of course. How's that work so far? Yeah, I just need a little glass guide. All right. Okay, this is exaggerated, okay? But this would be 100 kilometers. So, put it up a little bit there. Sorry about that. So, you are here. And as I told you, the sun is moving within this space. This would be considered outer space, but it's really inner space. This is the celestial sphere. This is a glass container as well. This is the glass sky at 100 kilometers that was formed after the flood. And sunlight is bending within the earth, and the sun is only a half sphere. All right. So it's bending. If this is the east and this is the west, sunlight is bending around like that and hitting your eye. Okay. It's bending less severe when you're closer to the sun. When it goes through this glass sky, it gets dispersed, just like going through the prism, right, guys? The white light is going through here, and the red light is the amount that's least refracted, right? So you have the blue light gonna be, or the violet light is gonna be more refracted.
Here, I'm just gonna rewind this video so that everybody can see it from the beginning.
The blue.
Just in case there was anybody that missed the beginning of this video, I'm just gonna rewind it, play it from the beginning, and that way the viewers can see the entire video.
Do you know why the sky gets red at sunrise or sunset? How many people know? How many people really know? This is what somebody might tell you. Sunlight encounters more air molecules when the sun is lower in the sky than when the sun is overhead. Even more blue light is scattered away, leaving mostly the reddish component of white sunlight to travel the straighter path to your eyes, so the setting looks red. Sounds good, right? Yeah. Yeah, sure. But it's not the correct answer. What I'd like to do is demonstrate. Here's a nice, beautiful sunrise, a reddish sky. Let's look at glass dispersion colors. You've seen this image before. White light passes through a glass and it gets dispersed into the spectrum. Red is the least refracted color. Violet is the most refracted. Keep that in mind. Red is the least refracted color. All right. Concave Earth, glass sky, sunlight. Let me try drawing this for you on paper. I gotta adjust my camera, but we'll see how we can do it. I gotta turn the camera upside down. 1 second here, guys. Alright. There's a camera. There we go. Alright. Sorry about the angle. That's the best I can do with this setting. Okay. Uh-oh. Get some more tape. Stay. Alright. Microphone over here. Okay. Trusty pencil. Now keep in mind this would be a full circle, looking top down, of course. How does that work so far? Yeah, I just need a little glass sky. All right. Okay, this is exaggerated, okay, but this would be 100 kilometers. So, put it up a little bit there. Sorry about that. So, you are here. And as I told you, the sun is moving within this space. This would be considered outer space, but it's really inner space. This is the celestial sphere. This is a glass container as well. This is the glass sky at 100 kilometers that was formed after the flood. And sunlight is bending within the earth, and the sun is only a half sphere. All right. So it's bending. If this is the east and this is the west, sunlight is bending around like that and hitting your eye. Okay. It's bending less severe when you're closer to the sun. When it goes through this glass sky, it gets dispersed, just like going through the prism, right, guys? The white light is going through here, and the red light is the amount that's least refracted, right? So you have the blue light going to be, or the violet light is going to be more refracted. Okay, so you're not picking up the blues, all the other colors refract too much for you to see them at that angle, at this angle of incidence. You should study Snell's law a little bit to understand how that works. So the red, because it does not refract that much, is what you pick up the most. That is the true answer. Why the sky is red. Isn't it wonderful to know the truth? Well, let's talk about, somebody brought up a question on my YouTube about megacray meteors. And the simple fact that, the simple fact that when we look at megacry meteors, they're opaque. What's going on there? So that's some pictures of megacry meteors. Look at that, they're opaque. This one fell on the Mustang. Remember that one in Florida? So how can an opaque glass be covering, or I'm sorry, an opaque ice be covering up the glass sky? How does the sunlight penetrate through? It's got to be transparent. Yes, it does. And it is. However, it's just not transparent at ground level. Because, let's go over here. Temperature. There are two different states of ice, amorphous and crystalline. Amorphous means it's clear, transparent, like glass, and crystalline means it has structures, it has crystal structures, and it is usually opaque or very near opaque, translucent opaque. Okay? Keep that in mind. Let's go to that one reply I just made to this guy. At 100 kilometers, stop. At 100 kilometers, guys, or thereabouts, where the glass sky is and where the ice is attached to the glass sky, it is clear and it is very cold. And that's where the ice stays in the amorphous state. I just got these figures from Wiki. And I'll just read it to you. At 100 kilometers, you are just over the mesosphere, mesopause. This is where the temperature of the ice is cold enough to stay in the amorphous state. In the mesosphere, temperature decreases with increasing height. The upper boundary of the mesosphere is the mesopause, which can be the coldest naturally occurring place in Earth. With temperatures below 130 Kelvin, which is minus 226 Fahrenheit, or minus 143 Celsius. So it can be below that, it can be colder than these temperatures here. So there's a transition. Ice can go from state to state, Indiana to Illinois. It can go from amorphous to crystalline, okay, based upon the temperature. In general, amorphous ice can form below minus 130 K. At this temperature, water molecules are unable to form the crystalline structure commonly found on Earth. Amorphous ice may also form in the coldest regions of the Earth's atmosphere, the summer-polar mesosphere, where noctilucent clouds exist. That's actually volcanic ash remnants, but I'm sure there's ice there too. These low temperatures are readily achieved in astrophysical environments such as molecular clouds, circumstellar disks, okay. An additional factor in determining the structure of water ice is deposition rate. Even if it's cold enough to form amorphous ice, crystalline ice will form if the flux of water vapor onto the substrate is less than a temperature-dependent critical flux. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
I love seeing those.
At temperatures less than 77 K radiation. Okay, so at that level, the temperatures are cold enough to stay clear. The ice stays clear. But once it starts getting warmer, that ice gets opaque. That's why. Okay. Originally, I didn't know this. I mean, I was just like, you know, maybe it's opaque up there. But once you start doing a little bit more investigation, and the questions start pouring in, but everything just falls right into place when you have that glass sky as your foundation of understanding. Isn't that great? We figured out the glass. We figured out the lunar waves, the linear polarization. We figured out where tektites come from. We figured out where megacryometeors come from. Figured out where the Libyan desert glass comes from. It's amazing. That's great. So there's my little graphic I had made a long time ago. Okay, guys, it doesn't come from airplanes, doesn't come from last night. I sound like a broken record, I'm sorry, but just trying to help you guys understand. And for me too, it's a process for me to comprehend what's going on too. So it's the Lord Stephen Christ Discovery Project. Okay, that's enough for now. Bye.
Okay, today I'm going to be putting a levitating flying disc in my vacuum chamber. So I got this awesome toy from a company called Bang Goods. I'll put the link in the description. It's only about $5 and it's really fun to play with. So the reason I want to put this in my vacuum chamber because we want to check if it will spin forever in the vacuum chamber. So the assumption is that when you spin it in air, the main reason it stops spinning and eventually falls is due to the air resistance. So if you take away all the air around it, will it stop spinning? And then after the vacuum chamber, I'll show you, if you do end up buying one of these, I want to show you some tips on how to get it to work, because when I first got it, I thought there's no way that it's ever going to stay in place. It seemed like when I was trying it, I was like, there's no way it's going to float on top, because it just flew off every single time. I could not get it to work. But I kept trying and found a video online, and eventually I was able to get it work. So I'll give you a few tips on how to get it spinning, because it's really fun once you do get it spinning. So how this works is there's a round magnet inside of here, and there's also a magnet inside of here, and they're opposite poles. And so there's a region of stability in the center here, but if you just try to set it down, it just flips over because it wants to flip so that the magnets are opposite and they attract each other. But if you spin it, then it makes it stable, because spinning gyroscopes, they want to stay in their same plane and they don't want to tip. So if you get it spinning fast enough, then it won't tip over and it'll just stay in this stable region and float above the magnet. So first, let's just spin it in normal air and see how long it spins. Okay, there we go. So the comparison in the vacuum is going to be a little hard, because it really depends on how good this first spin is. So I got some longer spins than that earlier. It's hard to repeat how long it spins. It really depends on how flat your current surface is and everything. So there's a lot of variability here. But the real question is, will it spin forever in a vacuum chamber? So regardless of how good my initial spin is, let's see if it will spin forever in a vacuum. Okay, now to get it spinning. Okay, go for it. Okay, we're down to 0.8 atmospheres already. Looks pretty stable. We're at 0.5 atmospheres, half atmospheric pressure. We're down to 0.2 atmospheres. There's very little air in there right now. .1 atmospheres, so there's hardly any air resistance now. The air is very thin in there. If you had a drone in there, it couldn't fly at this pressure. Okay, we're about at full vacuum now. So now go ahead and pause this video and make your guess in the comments section if you think it will just keep spinning forever, or if you think it will stop. If you think it'll stop, let me know why you think it'll stop even without air. Oh, and it finally fell. So we can see that in the vacuum chamber, this indeed does not spin forever. So why did this happen? Why doesn't it spin forever in the vacuum chamber if there's no air or virtually no air around it? The reason is because even though it's levitating above the magnet, you still can't get rid of friction. So this is the same reason that my pendulum stopped swinging in the vacuum chamber, also the fidget spinner stopped. And the reason is because you truly can't get rid of friction in this system. So when it's spinning on top of the magnet here, it's actually wobbling a little bit and it's pushing against the round magnet that's inside of here. And that round magnet is moving a little tiny bit. And that friction is slowing this down. So even though it's floating above it, they're communicating with each other through the magnetic field, and it's slowing it down and it wobbles more and more. It's slowing the spin down because this magnet is moving. And eventually the spin slows down enough and it makes the spin unstable until it eventually flips over and falls. So even though it is floating in air, it's still in communication with the magnet that's on the ground that's slightly moving and sliding inside of there, and it does have friction. So eventually this will slow down and stop in a vacuum. So the question then is, can anything just spin forever? So what about if I were in orbit with this spinning disk? So let's say I was in space and I just spun it, would it just continue spinning? So it's not in communication with any magnet touching anything that can slow it down. It's just in orbit, orbiting around the Earth or wherever it is, and it's spinning. So there's nothing to stop it from spinning. So you could think that this will spin forever. One of the best examples of an object spinning in space is the Earth. The Earth has been spinning for a long time, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So the next question you may ask is, can anything keep spinning indefinitely forever, even in space? And the answer to that is still no. And that's because just like our disk on the magnet here was in communication with the magnet, so it eventually slowed down, that's true even in space. Even though there may be nothing near this object spinning, it's still getting hit by cosmic background radiation that are slowing it down ever so slightly, and eventually it will stop. Another reason is because a spinning object also gives off gravitational waves. So it's actually communicating with every other object in the universe, and that is slowing the disk down also. So eventually, every spinning object will come to a stop. It may be longer than the lifetime of the universe, but it can't spin forever. So actually, nothing can spin forever, especially not in a vacuum chamber on Earth. First, I would get the larger washer and two smaller ones and put it on your disk. And it comes with a little elastic band you can put on. Okay, so
98% of us don't get enough omega-3s, which is why Mega Red Advanced 4-in-1 packs more omega-3 power into one small soft gel. It supports your heart, brain, eyes, and joints. Mega Red.
Meet the Landers, the revolutionary new standing desk from iMover. Featuring the latest in high-tech advancements, the Landers set up in just minutes and come with a free smartphone app. The Lander is entirely made in the USA from the highest quality components, featuring ergo-contoured 3D laminated surfaces, as well as dual precision Bosch motors that can silently lift up to 360 pounds, while still having the safety of anti-collision technology. We offer the industry's best warranty and a 100-day satisfaction guarantee. For more information, visit landerdesk.com.
This is the first technique that you have to get down. You have to spin it like a top. So without the magnet, it's really easy to spin. It's easy to spin a top. But on the magnet, it's really hard because it wants to flip. See how if you just set it there, it wants to flip over. And so it's like you're opposing a force when you spin it. So it's hard to get. You have to do it with a good amount of force to get it spinning. Most of the time, even when I do it still, oh, I did it good that time.
See, it's spinning now, but as soon as it slows down a little bit, it just flips over. So if you don't get the spin right, it pops off or falls over. So first, get that down of just letting it spin and sit there. It actually stabilizes itself if it's spinning good. So the next thing you need to get down is lifting it up. So you have to lift it up until down here it's not stable, but up here, the higher you get, the more stable it gets until it's in the perfect zone where it will begin to float. And so as you lift it up, you'll feel that you'll feel the weight of it, but as you lift it higher and higher, you'll feel it start to lift up until eventually it will pop off of your carrying stick here. So this is what it looks like if it's too heavy. You try to lift it up, and you can feel it lifting up a little bit, but it just comes right back down. So that's too heavy. And then this is if it's too light. See, that was way too light. It just flies off of it. So I can't even get it to spin because it's too light. So I would start out with it too heavy and then remove a little tiny weight. They have these little tiny ones you can remove and try to adjust it until it's just too heavy to float. So I'm gonna put on a plastic one, then one of these, and then another small plastic one, and then an elastic to hold it. So I think this weight should be about right. Another thing is that this has to be perfectly level, and it comes with these little wedges that you stick under it to get it perfectly level. If it always floats off to one side, then put the wedge on that side to even it out. It's once you do it a few times, it's easy to tell which way it's tilting. And there we go. So if you do it just right, you get it in the sweet spot and it'll just stay spinning there. It's really cool. So if you get it really good, I've got mine to stay for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes spinning, and then it eventually falls. But you have to get a really good spin that stays really stable. Hey everyone, thanks for watching another episode of the Action Lab. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments about this video, let me know in the comments section and I'll try to get to them. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and remember to hit that bell button to be notified when the latest video's out, and we'll see you next time.
Did you ever hear the Judge shine? No, never. The Judge shine. Did you ever hear the zodiacal light? Maybe not. But let me just explain to you what I was doing where I discovered the Judge shine. I was looking for some type of evidence for some kind of anti-solar illumination zone opposite the sun within the celestial sphere, because if you understand anything about how I explained to you that sunlight is wrapping around merging each side to the illustration. Or sun at the top here is emanating light and it is converging each side. Very similar to like if you look at a glass of water in the sunlight, you can see the caustic lines. They will converge. It's inside of the illumination. That's what's happening. Initially, I was researching this to find out, or to show you, to illustrate to you how the sun receives illumination. I said from both sides in the previous video, but this is just a cross section. So it's more than just both sides. It's really every side, every angle the sun is wrapping around. It's illuminating the moon, so that's why we don't see the graduated shading of the moon. The front side is spherical, it's a half sphere. We would normally see graduated shading. What are you doing?
like a full moon that's completely illuminated. It's flooded with light. So that is why that is happening. And I was going to illustrate that. I was going to animate that. I did animate that. Just, these contour lines are showing how the light is converging. This little convergence point. And I didn't even know they had a name for this. They called it Jegenschein. The Jegenschein is very critical for you to understand why a lunar eclipse cannot work in a heliocentric model or a flat model. Because the Jegenschein, it is a faint patch of light directly opposite the sun, the anti-solar point of the sun. We call it the Lagrangian point number 2. That. Lagrangian point number 2. See, this point here is opposite. This is a heliocentric model, of course, but here's the Earth. Now, think about this. Where do lunar eclipses happen? They happen at this Lagrangian point number 2. They happen exactly opposite. I mean, in a heliocentric model, they happen exactly opposite the sun, at the moon, at the Earth, directly between the sun and the moon. You cannot, ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate this for you. You cannot have a lunar eclipse in front of the Jegenschein, the heliocentric model. They are mutually exclusive. Moon cannot be covered in Earth's shadow at a point where there is illumination. It's that simple. You understand what I'm saying? This Jegenschein point is a bright spot, and that's where the lunar eclipse supposedly happens. There's an image in Photoshop of the Jegenschein. Now, they will say it's oval in shape, but what I do is I boosted up the curves. Normally, it looks like this, kind of murky. But I boosted up the curves because I wanted to see. I didn't think it was oval. It's not. It's circular. You can see a circular illumination. Yes, you have this banding effect. I believe that's happening because of the magnetic field of the sun. For some reason, the sun's light is projected like that, but in the center, it's still circular. The circular area, if you go back to my illustration here, cross-section top down, you can imagine this shape of apple, like an apple. So when the moon is in the apple, you know, we're waxing the first quarter, the wax will give us this third quarter. And even the full moon is still in the apple. When it leaves the apple,
So
outside the apple.
Let's go check this out. I'm going to pause this real quick because I'm sure there's a couple of fucking clowns that just hopped on over here. So let's, I'm going to open up a new tab. And I'm going to have some fun with these clowns over here. What, Zulu? What was it? Shit, Zulu, Zulu one. Yeah, I actually met Zulu in Mohegan Sun. He seems like a nice guy. You still let me have a wrench. Let me say my piece, you know. That's cool. It's all good. Yeah, same team. Yeah, no, pal. You and I are not on the same team, okay? No, I'm a truther, and you're a liar, okay? You could take my wrench away. I don't give a fuck, bro. You're a liar, and I'm a truther, all right? Now, if you want to disprove me, I would like that. I would like for you to disprove me. But the fact that you're saying same team, just it tells me that, you know, come on, I'm not stupid. So I'm going to have to make a video about these clowns over here. Night School, Flat Earth, same team, specially. Woo. What do we got here? Okay, so let's go check this out. These fools still trying to figure out what's going on up in the sky. Meanwhile, I can't fucking explain the stars at all. Zero. All right, so this isn't live. So we can't see the live chat, huh? Yeah, there is no live chat. There's no live. Oh, yeah, we can see it over here. It's kind of blurry. Let's See if we can blow this up a little bit. All right. So here, these flat earthers think they're so smart. You know what I mean? Let's see. We've got some brilliant comments here. Some absolutely brilliant gems. Let's see. Due to electrostatic. Oh, we live in an electrostatic grid now. The Earth is flat, right? Oh, the Earth is flat. We can't prove the Earth is flat. We can prove it's not convex. And we can prove that, there's no downwards curvature and the lights are close. None of you guys have any measurable flatness, Karen. Karen, all right. So Karen says water measures flat. Let's see if we can find that. Let's see. Yeah. This is actually pretty funny. Concave Earth does not explain sun angles. Okay. All right, Karen. Karen, what? Concave Earth does not explain sun angles. First of all, if you think the sun is underneath the barrier, then you don't even understand. Okay? You're stupid. You don't even have an altitude for your sun. Oh, it's in the clouds. Oh no, it's up there with the balloon. No. It's 3,000 miles up in the sky because the sextant said so. Yeah, it is 3,000 miles. That's the correct answer. Dubé's right. The sun's 3,000 miles up. And Mark Sargent's right. It's a projection. You know why? Because it's being projected from 3,000 miles up on the other side of the barrier. Let's see. There you go. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Plus, water measures flat. Plus, water measures flat. All right, Karen. I'm calling you out. Water measures flat. Okay. What? So Nathan Thompson couldn't give me any measurable flatness. Joey Rocha didn't give me any measurable flatness. All right, Karen, I'm calling you out. I want to see your measurable flatness because all the measurements I find show concavity and they're all being suppressed. Okay, where's your stupid measurable flatness? Okay, we've got the Tamarack mines, the plumb bob divergence that shows concavity to the Earth. We've got Globebusters announcing they have concavity to the Earth. We've got these laser experiments when you actually measure in the middle, you stupid fools. When you actually measure in the fucking middle, then you're actually going to get a concavity reading. Yeah. You got to measure in the middle. Oh, measure. What do you mean measure in the middle? Yeah, but then we can't convince people the Earth is flat if we measure in the middle. So tell me, Karen, where's your measurable flatness? Where is it? I'd love to see. You know how difficult it is to measure the water, first of all, with all these different fishing line experiments and everything? Flat Earth has nothing. Flat Earth zooms real far, which is possible inside a concave Earth. And it explains why the ships disappear hull first, because light's bending. Oh, you're going to say light's not bending now? Here we go. I'm not going to put that in your mouth, but I mean, Skiba says that bending light's a theory. Oh, if you want to go with the bending light theory, really? It's a theory? You sure? You sure bending light's still a theory, Rob? Is that what you clowns are going to try to claim now, that bending light's a theory? Yeah, it's a theory. Right. I mean, how can you claim that bending light is a theory when you can see it? You can observe bending light just like this. I mean, how are you going to say bending light's a theory? Are you guys out of your mind? You can't be that dumb. You know, I give you guys credit for not being that dumb. But I mean, you can't. Oh, how come we can't see the celestial sphere? How come we can't see it? Really? You guys can't. You guys don't. I mean, really? You don't know why we can't see the sky above us? You don't know why we can't see this ball of stars? Really? You just, all it takes is layers of glass. Oh, what a coincidence. That's what we have up in the sky. Concentric layers of glass, just like this, bending light to mask objects. You really think that if the creator doesn't want us to see stuff, he's not going to hide it from us just with simple stuff like this? The heavens are concentric layers of glass, like an onion, children, okay? So I'm going to talk down to you like the children who believe the earth is flat. I don't believe none of you actually believe the earth is flat. You know, Dredd, Karen, Zulu, Larry, all you fucking jokers. None of you actually believe the earth is flat. I know that. But you're acting like you believe the earth is flat. So I'm going to treat you like you believe the earth is flat, like a bunch of little children, because this is how you want to act, like children. Oh, water always finds its own level. Really? Well, level works on all three models, children. Level works on all three models, you know? So, but not all three models work. Hey! And that's what you guys don't realize. Your stupid flat earth is nothing but a one side of a false dichotomy. And that's why I asked if there was any truthers in here, because you guys aren't speaking the truth. And I don't care if you realize it or not. I don't care if you're still genuine and way behind me. I mean, there's no way any of you guys are genuine. I've been telling you all about concave earth for a while now. All of you. Karen, Zulu, Larry, Dredd. I told you months and months and months ago. You wanted to laugh it off. You talked with Sam Hancock. You never actually did talk with me. That's because you're afraid. You're a coward, Dredd. You're a coward. You're afraid to talk to me about the truth. Because you know I'm going to destroy your flat nonsense, and then you're going to lose all your friends, and then you're going to have to be labeled in the Cyrus Teague cult or the LSC cult. You know, I've made that a lot easier for you guys. I've single-handedly dismantled that, all that bullshit. Okay? You don't have to be afraid of being labeled LSC cult member anymore. Okay? You don't have to worry about Nayland being the only one. You know, just stop it. Why don't you guys just admit, okay, water bends. We live on the inside of the sphere. What's with all this gatekeeping shit? You guys are gatekeeping it. I know that. You think I'm stupid? You guys think I actually believe you still think the earth is flat? Come on. Why don't you guys just man up and grow a set of balls and just speak the truth? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid someone's going to come kill you? Ooh, truthers who are afraid to die. Oh my, what a formidable group of opponents, these flat earthers who you're all a bunch of coward clowns. You're clowns. You're clowns. And you're busted. You're busted clowns. You have no measurable flatness. You claim everything is straight, water's straight. Everything's straight. There's no bending light. There's no bending water. You guys are fools. Absolute fools. Oh, gravity, gravity, gravity. You guys don't understand that for buoyancy to exist, there has to be an up and a down force. What's going to rise without a lift force? How does smoke go up if nothing's pushing it up? Don't you understand that an object won't move unless acted upon by another force? An object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. So if an object is in motion, it's going to stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. If an object is stationary, it's going to remain stationary until acted upon by a force. You cannot have up with gravity, because gravity is just a singular pulling force holding you to the outside of a ball. So even if that were true, nothing would rise because there's no lift force. Flat Earth has nothing. Flat Earth says, oh, there's no forces. It's just a electrostatic grid. No, it doesn't work like that. You've got to, there's pushing and pulling forces emanating from the center. Okay, this is why the real argument is convex versus concave. There's no room for flat Earth. You flat Earthers are a joke. You can't explain the direction of weight. You cannot map the Earth, which you call a straw man argument. Those are the exact measurements. If you connect all the cities together, it's going to form a web, and that web forms a sphere, not a flat plane. Okay? It's not a straw man argument. A map is a measurement system, and if you're going to claim that you've proved the Earth is flat, you don't have a flat map. You can't map the Earth, and you can't map the sky, yet you claim you know that the Earth is flat. And you act like you guys are superior with your fucking limited knowledge of the understanding of the cosmos. You don't know shit. You know nothing. I mean, if you genuinely believe the Earth is flat, that is. I mean, you guys don't know shit. Probably because you guys have gatekept yourselves from the truth. That's your own fault. That is your own fault. If you literally can't find bending water and bent light, I mean, give me a break. I mean, you can bend water with sound, you can bend water with air pressure, and you can bend it with magnetism. Oh yeah, go ahead, laugh it up. Bendy water, oh, bendy water, oh, bendy water. Oh, I'm showing you bendy water, you goddamn idiots. Look, bendy water. Look, water bends. That's it. Water bends. How do you think waves are? What do you think waves are? Water's always flat. Then what the fuck is a wave? How do waves exist if water's flat? Don't you understand? It's magnetism causing the tides. No, it's not the magnetic field from a heliocentric moon. The gravitational pull of the moon in outer space, 238,000 miles. Yeah, so that's bullshit. That doesn't mean all water's flat. You fucking morons. You think that because the heliocentric model is false, that means all water is flat? Really? You got to be kidding me. You literally got to be kidding me. That just because one model isn't true means that you're that I don't even know what you guys even have a model? No. Oh, flat earth proof. We can't even represent anything. You can't represent anything. You know what this is? This is concavity. These are RF waves bending up. You're aware that waves bend up, right? Light waves, radio waves, all waves, they all bend up. Why is that? Because they move towards the more dense medium, which is above you. If the earth was so dense, then why is everything bending up? Light is going to bend towards the more dense medium. Period. So why are things bending up if the more dense medium is the earth? It's not more dense medium. The more dense medium is the heavens. That's why everything's bending up. Because the inside of the concave earth is bigger than our living quarters on the outer layer, the outer onion layer where we live, where we walk on. Oh yeah. Yeah, light doesn't bend, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Let me check my, I guess I'll just check my watch page. I mean, real quick, just to see if any of you jokers hopped in here and actually want to. Nope. Yeah, light doesn't bend, right? None of you clowns even hopped in my live stream chat and said, "Yeah, I'll talk with you about the Earth." No, because you can't. That's not what you guys are there for. Just like Nathan Thompson, the little fucking coward bitch. Just like him. When I debated him, he said, "Well, if you think I'm here to prove the Earth is flat, you should just leave." So I'm like, all right, fucking see ya. Listen, I chewed up your boy Nathan Thompson. I chewed up your boy Joey Rocca. You guys got nothing. You cannot prove a flat Earth, and you know it. You're just clowns, and you're going to keep running from me, and I'm going to keep chasing you and applying pressure until you repent. Or don't. Or don't. Right? Yeah. You can repent or don't. I'm out. It's up to you. You guys want to be stupid and promote your dumbass flat earth. Listen, I was a flat earther for 2.5 years. I know how dumb it is. Okay? You're not going to... Hey, look, water's always flat. See, the problem with flat earth is they actually reject science. They don't actually care about science at all. Yeah, they're showing pseudoscience in the heliocentric model, and then they promote pseudoscience. Science, flat earth is another pseudoscience. That's all it is. It's just another false model. I mean, flat earth is going to be in the same bin with heliocentricity soon. I mean, it's not going to take long. It's not going to take long. I mean, there's no way to prove a flat earth. And now that I'm onto that, you guys are finished. You guys are all done. Your flat earth cult is going to be over in a couple of years. That's it. So enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy your little 15 minutes of fame, because the kings of the earth are taking over the earth. And you will be the lowest in the kingdom. You understand? Yeah, that's right. You're going to kneel to me. To me. That's it. That's all there is to it. You can either accept it or reject it. But you're living inside my earth. Okay? You're living inside my earth. You're trapped in here with me. So you might as well just repent. Well, I ain't going to stand next to you and defend you. If you don't, I'm going to be like, no, man, I told them a billion times they wanted to just reject it. Okay, sorry. I ain't going to fucking defend. I didn't know you. I never knew you. Get away from me. All you guys wanted to do is laugh at me and reject me? Fine. You made your choice. You made your bed. You can deal with the judge. I ain't the judge. I ain't the judge. I'm just a messenger. But hey, you know, whatever. You guys want to keep laughing it off. Let's look at this fucking night school. Look at these clowns. That's all they are is a bunch of clowns. Look at this. They got all this fucking, yeah. You guys think you're funny. You guys think you're running the show. No, you're in my earth. You're in my earth. Did you get it? You're the pawns, not me. Yeah. Yeah, I figured this out. I'm the guy playing the dude disguised as another dude. Your flat earth is finished. But thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, this is good shit. All right, so yeah, whatever. I mean, I already know none of you guys you won't reach out. You don't have the balls. You can't do it. You can't disprove none of this stuff. Oh, you stupid flat horizon. Yeah. Whoop-de-doo. Only the outside of the ball should show a curve. Besides, that high altitude horizon isn't even showing you the separation of Earth and sky. It's showing you the separation of light and darkness because it's a close light source, by the way. Oh, yeah. And then there's that. You guys are going to try to hide that? Good luck. Good freaking luck. Because there's ice chunks falling from the sky, and then there's sprites that prove the altitude, radio wave propagation, Schumann resonance. The list goes on and on and on. What are you going to call it? A flat Earth dome? That's what you, yeah, the flat Earth dome with the sun underneath, the glass, right? Because that's how light's created, right? Don't you think the sun's on the other side of the glass creating light? No. That would make too quiet, Josh. That makes too much sense. Shut the fuck up. But I don't want to be labeled. But I don't want to be in the LSC cult. I know that there's no downwards curve, and I know the maps don't work, the flat ones. But I don't know. I researched it and I didn't see any evidence. Yeah. I mean, all right. So after years and years of struggle, this is what I came up with. This pretty much sums it all. Okay, the flat maps don't work. Okay, we know that. You either have a square flat Earth with teleporting everything, or you have a circle flat map that just fails. It's just obviously wrong. The Gleason AE, it's just okay. So we're either on the inside of a ball, the outside of a ball, or it's flat. Okay, and there's no downwards curve. Yep. Okay. So we established. Okay. There's no. All right. So we know we're not on the outside of a ball, and the flat maps don't work. Okay. So we know we're not on a flat Earth. All right. So what's left is, come on. What? Take all the time you need. Come on. You can do this. If there's 3 choices and 2 of them are crossed off the list, then what's the correct answer? Dummies. You can't figure this out? How long are you going to wait for the southern stars to be explained? When are you just going to break down and admit, okay, I get it. Yeah, the stars either work on the inside or outside of a ball. It's just the way it has to be. Oh, but we can't prove the shape of the earth by looking up at the sky. No, that's true. But we can disprove flat earth. Because the stars have to be inside or outside of a ball. And since we're not on the outside of a ball, just take all the time you need. Just if you need a friend, I left my number. You can always call me, if you need a shoulder to cry on, or, if you actually need some fucking balls. See, the problem is you need the balls, so you need to talk to me to get the balls, but you don't have the balls to talk to me. It's almost like you need a car to get the job, but you need the job to get the car, or you need money to get the gas, but you need the gas to go get the money. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. You guys need the balls because you don't have any balls, because you're promoting a false model, and that's why you have no fucking balls. Zulu, Dread, not Karen. Karen's not supposed to have balls. I'll leave her alone. But you men out there, you guys are cowards. You guys are straight bitches. You know that? Straight punk ass bitches. Dread, you're a punk ass bitch, motherfucker. Come do something. Or call me up or say, all right, fine. This guy's calling me out, calling me all kinds of nasty names. All right. So why don't you do something? Have me on your show or come on my show, whatever. Do something. Why don't you prove your flat earth? Prove water always finds its level. You realize that level works in the concave earth too, right? Because everything's being pushed away from center. So as long as you're perpendicular to zenith, parallel with the earth and parallel with the firmament, maintaining altitude and maintaining pressure, then the level's going to read level, even though you're traveling in a curved path, because the forces of universal compression are going to conform to the inside of the sphere Earth. So not only is the firmament spherical, not only is the Earth spherical, but now universal compression itself is spherical. So now all the forces are spherical. So as long as you maintain the same distance between the firmament and the Earth, because they're parallel, then you'll maintain the same amount of pressure, and your spirit level will read level, right? Right, D-Marble? So simple it'll go right over their heads, right? Yeah, what's so simple that'll go right over their heads? Something so simple that'll go right over their heads is the celestial sphere, right? The celestial sphere that's right in the middle of the earth that goes over your head. Yeah, so simple. So simple. This is why the stars appear to go in the opposite direction from your observation point. Looking south, from the south looking south, you're going to see this ball of stars rotating east to west, which is going to create clockwise star trails. And then from the north looking north, you're going to look up at the sky and you're going to see the stars going east to west, and it's going to be counterclockwise. Wow. Tough shit, huh? So I'll be here. I'll be waiting. I mean, maybe you guys aren't even over here watching. Maybe you're watching, not commenting. I don't know. But you'd be wise to listen to an all-knowing creator, which isn't me, but his earth is speaking to you, and his sheep hear his voice. This, the word of God is not paper and ink book. You know that? The word of God is a spoken word. That's your big bang right there. God spoke everything. It's sound, right? Energy, frequency, vibration, Tesla. Yeah, you get it? Resonance, acoustics, sound. God spoke. You get it? Duh. Sound. It comes from the middle. The word of God is sound itself, spoken. Became flesh. The word of God became flesh and dwelt among you. Let me know when you're going to figure this out. Right? So if this LSC guy is offering a mark of the beast, right? Well, bear with me, people. If LSC is offering a mark of the beast, and he's calling himself Jesus, and he's calling himself God, and he's calling himself Satan, so he calls himself Satan, and offers a mark of the beast. Why wouldn't you go research the model? Hello? Are you that thick? Are you that numb to think that maybe they're releasing the truth and they're using a gatekeeper to do it that's only pushing away the people that don't care about the science? It's okay to understand that you live inside the concave earth and you don't have to believe that Steve is God. You understand that, right? It's possible to not. Just like people believe the earth is flat, but they don't think Hitler was cool and such a nice guy, right? Same thing, you dumbasses. Same thing. Oh, Hitler was cool and such a nice. All these flat earthers are like, no, I don't think Hitler was cool. Well, then why do you think the earth is flat? If you don't think Hitler was cool, then why do you think the earth is flat? Dubé said the earth is flat and that Hitler was cool. So if Hitler's not cool, then the earth must not be flat, right? Duh. Well, isn't that the same thing you're doing with this LSC thing? Oh, LSC, that guy's crazy. So the earth must not be concave. Well, what if that guy's wrong about being God, but he's right about the earth? So you're just going to gatekeep yourself from information simply because you don't have enough sack to fucking challenge the Antichrist? Oh, wait, no, that's right. You don't have enough sack to challenge the Antichrist. Oh, that's right. That's my job. All right, that's my fucking job, is to challenge the Antichrist. That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. That's now I understand what's going on here. You're inside my earth.
Area of light. Okay. I'll show you in 3D. Here's a wireframe mode here. Okay, this is the moon. Right? I told you it's a half sphere. And so it's a bit hard to tell with this wireframe. If I turn like that, you see how it's taking itself out of the apple. That's where it does not have the illumination. Inside the apple, it's lit. Outside, it's not. So here's the judge and shine right here. This is illuminating the convergent point where the light. Oh, this is a previous video I made. How lunar eclipses happen. There's the judge and shine, but I called it the darkness one. I didn't really have a name for it, but it actually does. And so when the moon goes through, when it leaves the apple, sticks out in front of the judge and shine, it's going to be darker. It's going to be eclipsed. It'll be April 4th. Okay. Now, going back to what I said before.
The light bringer. Don't you guys get it?
Some astronomers deny it even being there, but there's.
You will masquerade as an angel of light. Jeez. Look, people. Look. Don't you get it? Don't you understand? This is the reason why you haven't researched concave Earth. It's because you're afraid of this. Right? What are you guys so afraid of? Why are you guys such chicken shits? You won't research the model because you're scared of what? What are you scared of? What, you guys want to take down NASA, but you can't take down one guy that claims to be God? Claims you live on the inside of a ball? You gotta. So you guys are confident enough that you guys think you're gonna take down NASA, right? But you can't just take down this one guy that says you live on the inside of a ball. You all gotta run away from him like a bunch of cowards. And you gotta run away from me like a bunch of cowards. Steve ran away from me like a coward. Hello? A year ago. A freaking year ago. Steve is hiding from me. Period. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong, Steve. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Suffer not the little children to come unto me. Anybody can call me. Just call me up on the phone. You got my number. The whole world has my cell phone number. The whole world has access to my cell phone number. Just call me. Leave a voicemail.
There's overwhelming, undeniable evidence. Okay. Okay. Undeniable evidence. Show you some research here. The Jegenshine, another mysterious phenomenon associated with the zodiacal light, is known as, by its German appellation, the Jegenshine. It is said that in that point of the heavens directly opposite the sun, there is an elliptical patch of light. Now, I just told you I don't think it's elliptical. I think it's circular. I showed you when you boost up the curves, it's circular. A few degrees in extent of such extreme faintness that it can be seen only by the most sensitive eyes under the best conditions and through the clearest atmosphere. This phenomenon seems so difficult to account for that its existence is sometimes doubted. Now, why do you think people would doubt that? Would doubt its existence? You know why, don't you? Because you cannot have a lunar eclipse in a heliocentric model. That's why they doubt its existence. Yet, the testimony is in its favor is difficult. Set aside. Look at this Wikipedia page on the Jegenshine. Look how weak, look how anemic it is. This is all they talk. This is all they have. If that is not a sign, if that is not indicative that they don't want people to know about the Jegenshine because it destroys a lunar eclipse in a heliocentric model, I don't know what is. I think this is all they say. But they have to admit that it's anti-solar. Jegenshine is German for countershine, faint brightening of the night sky in the region of the anti-solar point. Jegenshine, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the only way it works is within a concave Earth when the moon, as I said before, is leaving the apple zone of illumination. Okay. Moon is out here like that, cannot be lit anymore because it's outside the zone. Okay, the Jegenshine is like an inverted nipple. Okay, it's so for the most part, top down view here. For the most part, the moon stays within the apple. It only leaves the apple when it goes through the inverted nipple of the Jegenshine. It's hard to say that, but that's what's happening. Now, I also talked before about I believe that the light that's emanating from the sun is vortexual, and so this Jegenshine, this darkness funnel, it actually will fluctuate north and south. That's why we only get lunar eclipses during the equinoxes, during early April or late September. And let's go back to the flex here. Look at the moon here. So we take this moon, oops. And
no, it's Rahu and Ketu and all this other bullshit.
When it's not orange like that, it's inside the apple. Bring it out like that.
We can't explain anything about flat Earth, but we're going to prove it.
It goes in front of the Jegenshine. I believe it's orange like that because of the glass sky.
I get a bunch of dummies.
Refraction. The light goes through glass.
It's flat. Yeah.
Like that. That's why the moon turns red like that. But that's
so it's why
the lunar eclipse. Now, a lot of people, initially when they try to refute concave Earth, they will say, how do you explain lunar eclipses? Well, now we can turn that around, concavers. How do you explain the Jegenshine? How can the moon be eclipsed right in the exact area where there is illumination? I'm sure you got an answer for that. Maybe, what is your answer? Got to pull something out of your ass, don't you? Concave Earth is reality. Understand that? You understand how much you've been lied to, ladies and gentlemen? We'll talk about this on our session show on Friday nights. It's a slam dunk for Concave Earth. Join the revolution. See you later.
Good grammar and spelling.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
But if you want to write essays that inspire, messages that forge bright.
All right, that's enough of that. What time is it? Oh, wow, it's almost 3 a.m. All right, cool. So I'm probably going to kill this live stream now. Excuse me. I want to see what video I just ended with. Excuse me. Let's see here. We did that one. We did that one. This one. All right, so we just finished up with video 97. So next time I live stream, I'll just continue with video number 98, the ferrosphere magnetoholography. And then a lot of people really like this video too, the diamagnetic levitation via bismuth. This is a great video right here. Completely destroys the flat earth notion when they say XYZ isn't possible. And it's like, we're doing it like right in a house, like on a workbench, you know, with just magnets and shit. So flat earthers claim is not possible. It's like, well, I got video tape of a guy doing it right in his damn garage. You know what I mean? Like, shit you say is not possible is being done in garages in people's homes. Yeah, you guys are full of shit. Stop saying it's not possible. Stop saying water doesn't bend. Water's always flat. It's bullshit. Water does bend. You can bend water with sound. You can bend it with magnetism. You can bend it with air pressure. Look at the spirit level. How come the liquid in the spirit level isn't flat, you dumbasses? It's just air pressure. There's not even any sound or magnetism. It's just air pressure bending the water. You guys that thick where you think you live on a flat earth with air pressure? You realize that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? You live on a flat earth with air pressure? You understand that if we live enclosed with air pressure, that's going to help form the water, just like in the spirit level? Just like the ethanol. They use ethanol because the liquid is thinner than water. So they're able to get a more pronounced bubble out of ethanol. It would require higher air pressure to bend the water that severe bubble. Now, all of that proves that air pressure changes the shape of fluids, period. So if we live inside a container and you have air pressure, you have the ether, you have the magnetic field, you have universal compression, the ether, pushing up and down. Water is repelled by magnetism. So if we have a huge magnetic source in the earth, inside, above our heads, and we have magnetic layers under our feet, right? Think about it. If there's magnetism above you and magnetism below you, then why wouldn't that magnetism conform the water to the shape of the container? How can water be flat if the container isn't flat? The water's in the container, taking the shape of the container. Is the container flat? No. Okay. So right there, you can see that it's possible. Right there. You got metal here, you got magnetism here, and you've got magnetism here. And so it's keeping the water at bay. We only live in a small little sliver, one onion layer. Most of our earth is all heaven in the center. We only live in a little teeny tiny little air pocket all the way around. That's it. See ya. Love you guys.